I picked up a Ruger RXM recently. I mainly got it to run this subcompact Glock 26 type frame. In this video, I'm just going to call this configuration the RXM 26. The RXM 26 has been out for a couple months now as of late April. There are some great videos in regards to like concealed carrying this setup, but little in the way of like how it actually shoots. I think a lot of shooters nowadays, especially newer shooters, have no real idea how this Glock 26 type configuration of gun, a pinky hanging off the grip type gun, would shoot. And I'll admit, I'm kind of one of them. I was always familiar with the 26, but I never really took much effort into learning how to shoot this type of gun. But we'll see how it turned out for me. All right, so what you're seeing here are my very first few rounds through the RXM 26. And right out the gate, I was pretty pleased. Now, I'm not going to lie and say, oh, this subcompact shoots like a full size. I hate it when people say that. There are very few guns out there that can punch outside their weight class or frame classification, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, all of that being said, the RXM 26, for its size and its relatively awkward configuration with a long slide and a short grip, I think it shoots quite well. Even with your pinky hanging full off, I thought it shot pretty alright. Now, in regards to the importance of the pinky when firing a gun, it's undeniably a pro that you have a pinky pressure. I've heard that you get 30% of your grip strength from the pinky. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but seems believable to me. But really, all I'm trying to say is that just because you can't get your full pinky on there does not mean that it's the end of the world. You can't just write off an entire classic gun like this, like a lot of people seem to do. If you are able to handle, or better yet, shoot this Glock 26 type configuration, whether it be an actual Glock 26 or RXM 26, give it an honest try. Even if you're not able to live fire it, check it out and see what you think of the ergonomics. If the pinky hanging off the grip feels alien to you, okay, that's okay. Try handling the gun with an extension. Now, if you are able to live fire this configuration of the RXM, or if you're already familiar with how the original RXM Glock 19 configuration shoots, it shoots very similar to that configuration, surprisingly. Return to zero, that is like how well it is inclined to return to your original aim point after your shot pops off. There's some man-machine interfacing going on here, but I found it to be pretty solid. There are way worse guns out there with worse return to zeros in my hands. And with the footage you're seeing here, I'm not the greatest shooter, but I'm trying to push at a decent pace, and my thoughts going through my mind shooting this thing, and I'm like, it's not too bad. I can get used to this. And for the type and class of gun it is, subcompact with a abbreviated grip, I liked it. I think it might be worthy of a spot in my carry rotation. I'll invest in a good holster for it. I got a tier 1 on the way, and as long as it keeps on performing without any issues like it has been, I think it might be a keeper. And speaking of carry rotations, I was initially drawn to the RXM honestly because of this subcompact module. As a carrier of the Glock 43X, the RXM 26 still really appealed to me. I think the 43X is a known commodity now, solid carry option. Its Achilles heel really was just a 10-round OEM magazine. This is hopefully going to be remedied pretty soon with the release of the Glock 15-round OEM magazines. So all of this to say that the RXM 26 and the Glock 43X are comparable and contemporary concealed carry options. Now, what I want to do here is just compare the characteristics of the two in terms of like shootability and concealability, especially shootability, because let's be honest, there are very few people in this world that actually enjoy shooting subcompacts on a regular basis. These things kind of suck to shoot, honestly. But, at the end of the day, I think I honestly prefer how the 43X shoots. I know I might be in the minority on that. A lot of people think this gun shoots awful. I don't agree. I think it shoots pretty well. I've somehow always gotten along pretty well with the 43X. For what it is, it's a slimline, subcompact, micro compact. Is it snappy? Sure. Like, there's no getting around it. Guns of this size will be snappy, but this is snappy in a good way. I feel I can take advantage of It's fast cycling with great return to zero. I'd say the return to zero on this 43X is better than the RXM 26, at least in my hands. So as far as shooting goes, I like how the Glock 43X performs. But that said, what I think the 43X gains in shootability, it loses in concealability. The 43X is built as a micro subcompact type of gun, but let's take a look at it. This grip is very long. It is very long. We'll do some quick comparisons. Let's compare the RXM 26 to the 43X, and we'll see why exactly I wanted to give the RXM 26 a try in the first place. So let's compare them, shall we? Comparing the top of the slide with each other, trying to match it up as best as we can. Let's take a look at the grip length. Of course, this is the main part that prints a lot. You can see that the 43X has a good inch or so of the butt that could potentially print through your shirt. And to think it can be even shorter, you know? Let's check it out. So what you saw was a 12 rounder. This is the flush fit 10 rounder. If you ask me, this would offer substantially less printing than with the 43X. I know the 43X has a magwell, but if anything, the magwell is helping with concealment, because without it, you would have printing via the termination of the butt into the square magazine baseplate. That's why I have it on there in the first place. Now, width-wise, it's clear that the 43X has a definite advantage. So, but you know, thickness and length of the gun is not really an issue to me. It's really the length of the grip that pokes out of my shirt. That is my issue, you know? And it might sound like I'm trashing the 43X, but no, I really like this gun. It'll still continue to be in my carry rotation. I'm just pointing out my experience with it, how long the grip is, and as a result, how it piqued my interest in the Glock 26 sized frame. I also want to do one more comparison here. You know, I broke out the Glock 17, and honestly, it looks like, you know, lining the top of the slide with the top of the slide, it seems to me that the 43X is nearly as long as a full-size Glock 17. That is long. And of course, the 43X only ever had 10 round mags offered from OEM. We're not talking about the Shield mags or the PSA mags. Those OEM 15 rounders are highly anticipated. I know I'm going to get a few. But that being said, the base plates of them seem kind of long. We'll see how they turn out. Alright, so wrapping things up, I might come across as such a RXM 26 / Glock 26 fanboy right now, but I just want to show you what I'm seeing here, comparisons between these guns, and I hope someone out there finds it useful. Again, there isn't too much out there on this subcompact Ruger RXM 26, and I think the more info that's out there, the better. Okay, so that does it for this Glock Ruger RXM with the subcompact frame. Quick look. I hope it helps some people out there looking at the frame but wondering if it actually might work for them. If you think you can work with the pinky hanging off or the reduced grip in general, if you think you can, I would say go for it. Great thing about the RXM, you have the ability to do so. It's a cool platform for sure. Alright, so with all of that said, thanks for watching. Have a good one.